topic of the day. It's Chef Daddy 9000. I wanted to record this yesterday on the 4th of July, but honestly, it was just a chill day with the family, and I just decided to leave all that alone as much as possible. So today's topic, America, the United States of America. I love this place. I have been outside the country once. It was to what you might call a industrialized third world country, the Dominican Republic and Haiti. And there were some beautiful, beautiful things there. And there was also some things that made me very much, from the age of 17, understand how incredible this place actually is. And I wish I'd traveled more so I could have more perspective on that. Yet I feel with my knowledge of US history, the Constitution, government, psychology, and just 40 years living in this country, that I have a good understanding of, you know, the positive sides and the negative sides. So this is going to be 5 things I love about the United States and 5 things diminishing America's greatness. So let's start with the 5 things I love about the United States. So 5 things I love about the United States. Number 1, music, arts, and creative expression. Boy, the United States is a place that has created so many genres of music and so much great music and movies and, I mean, just works of art. You know, like, yes, there's lots of works of art and classical music from Europe. Do not get me wrong. I love African tribal music. I've heard music from India and China, like all over the world. There's great music, and there's great modern bands from all sorts of countries. But like, this place, in my opinion, just has some of the coolest and best music. Okay, EDM. I'm going to give EDM credit that there are amazing producers around the globe. I listen to producers from all over Europe, Asia, Africa, South America, DJs as well. Like, that's one of those genres that seems to be pretty global. But a lot of genres either started here, got made better here, or something along that lines, and pretty much most of what comes out that's amazing in that way comes from the United States. So heck yeah, for music and creative expression and art and, you know, just like all the ways in a positive, uplifting way that Americans find to be creative with things. It's super cool in that way. Number 2, diversity. Diversity, yeah. This place is just, you know, the mosaic, the melting pot. It's been given that analogy for quite a long time. But I mean, me being here, my grandmother was, bless her soul, off the boat from Germany, and without my grandfather going over there when he served and meeting her, and then her coming back and becoming a US citizen, I may not be here. And then just like, I've had so many friends from other countries. I knew foreign exchange students in school when I was younger, and talking to them was always so much fun. I love talking to people from other countries about what they experience and how things are similar and different, you know, and then, but just like here, like, there's so many people that, like, their families are from other places, and it's just such a great mixture, and it creates cool cultural things, it creates great music, it creates innovations. The diversity in this country, racially, culturally, you know, just in so many ways. Diversity is what makes this world a fun, interesting place to be in. So, heck yeah. Number 3, the US Constitution. Holy cow, what a cool document. If you haven't read it, go sit down with it and give it a read to the point that you actually understand of it. You'd be amazed what's actually talked about in there and what's not. You'd be amazed how specific they got about things, like how the US government is supposed to supply a post office and take care of it and fund it and all those things, just as much as the Army and the Navy. It's like literally listed in the same part of the Constitution of things that the government's supposed to take care of, and like the Army and the Navy and the post office are like a few lines away from each other. So, you know, and like it's a document that has been able to make our government evolve for over 250 years. And while it could definitely use some serious upgrades and, renovations and some acknowledgement of the times and how many people we have, and I wonder if the forefathers ever thought about a world that had 8 billion people in it. Maybe not. Maybe they did, and we're like, yeah, we don't really know what to do about that. Let's just hope for the best on that long-term thing. But yeah, so the Constitution, amazing document. A lot of other countries, and they've gotten their independence from empirical things in the last 200 years, have modeled theirs after it. The Philippines, New Zealand, South Africa, India, a whole bunch of places in South America as well. So the U.S. Constitution, an amazing document, and the more we uphold it, the more freedoms and liberties we actually have. Number 4, innovation. When Americans work together, when they work with other countries, when scientists from here work with scientists from other places, or a bunch of scientists here work together, or a bunch of engineers here work together, or heck, even just like good old people in a town working together to help people out. When Americans work together, they do incredible things, and incredible technologies and ways of life and tools, have been created and developed and made what they are today through innovation and cooperation, and just like the amount of good ideas and the amount of progress and things that make the world better that have come out of the United States. I wish I had, I wish I had one of those lists of all the great inventions that have come out of the United States. Just thinking about a few inventors I know of in the past that are from the United States, it'd be a pretty long list. And then if you think about, being innovative in music or, other forms of creativity or technology, like people that we'd never learn their names, the amount of innovation in this country is just astounding. And then number 5, food. Americans have come up with some pretty cool food. I don't know what all would technically classify as American food. I'm pretty sure the hamburger is one of them, even though I think that started somewhere. And I think a lot of what we call American food is something that started somewhere and we made our own version of it, or like the immigrants that came here used what was available here and made a different version of it for here. Even some of the sushi I know isn't like sushi that's made back in Japan. It's American sushi, Italian food, big time. I worked for actually classic Italian restaurants before, and the food there is way different than what you might see at Macaroni Grill or, any place that's serving spaghetti and, ravioli and lasagna and things like that. But the food here is incredible. That's another thing with the innovation and the diversity has created immense amounts of just tastiness, just delicious tastiness. And some of it is horrible for you, and some of it is actually pretty good for you, and some of it's halfway in between. American sushi, but I've eaten an authentic Japanese sushi restaurant before, and that's some pretty incredible stuff. But yeah, all the different food you can think of in America. Even our version of pizza. I'm a gluten celiac and lactose intolerant, so my version of pizza is a little different these days, but American pizza, freaking awesome stuff. Chicago style pizza, back when I could eat that, wow, it's so good. So that's my 5 things that I love about the United States. So 5 things diminishing America's greatness. Number 1, divorce and lack of loyalty in relationships. Like this idea that getting married or being super exclusive or serious in a relationship is some kind of diminishing thing. Nah, man, all relationships take work. So that's one of those things that you need to remember, is that the more effort and work and kindness we put into our relationships, the better. And that's the thing. It's if you're looking at relationships and you don't want to put in the effort, you don't want to be loyal and exclusive and things like that, and you should look within yourself, because the more you love yourself, the more you're going to want people around you that are loving too. The more you're going to want that loyalty and that reliability But divorce, man, like, just so everybody knows, you're not a step parent unless you go through the legal things that people who adopt go through. You have to like legally adopt the kid from the other parent to be technically a legal step parent. We have just handed the keys of power and discipline and, you know, what guides the relationships between parents and children over these people that just came into the situation. They just got married to somebody and now we're just like, in charge of everything, you know, like just a member of the family, just basically altering everything with everything they do. And then like, you know, at some points, like acting like these people are ultimate authority, where step parents really technically are not an authority. And, you know, like on a legal level, on like a serious level. And like, I think that's part of the reason it's such an issue. It's like, I feel like if we were taking it that if step parents had to go through like a year, you know, a course for a year and psychological training and a bunch of stuff to be able to be a step parent of any child, I feel like we'd be putting a lot more into it. You know, like, but divorce and the lack of our desire to truly be fully involved in relationships, whether they're romantic or friendship or family. It just seems like everybody just wants to put everything in an arm's distance and leave it there now these days, and that's just not helping us. Like the lack of connection is absolutely harming our culture. And then next, individualism, greed. Being an individual is great. Being yourself is great. It's awesome. Loving yourself is awesome. Wanting to do the things you want to do is wonderful. This idea of a collective, this idea of being in it together, is something we need more of. This ability to, you know, see our likeness and see our togetherness and see our union and make it more important than what matters to me, to you, like at that very moment. You know, individualism has created the innovation that I talked about in a lot of things. But it's also destroying families. It's also destroying friendships. It's also destroying, you know, companies and all sorts of things. Like people thinking that like their personal desires, their personal whims are more important than, you know, overall needs. You know, like individualism is destroying the health of the planet. You know, every time that somebody's like, oh, I'm just going to do what I want and eat this thing and throw it away. It's like, yeah, that unconscious desire to just go like that is harming us. It's harming our culture, because like once upon a time, like being an American meant something. Like it was something that people truly got behind. It wasn't a political thing. It wasn't a this town thing, that state thing. Like, no, it wasn't like, oh, around here, like we don't really care about that. Like, no, everybody was an American. And then, you know, like that meant something and you cared about that. And like, you know, we came together on things. And it seems like these days it seems more important to have your own opinion and be right on that than it is for us to find and meet our goals and find solutions and things like that together. So individualism and people's greed, people's desire to get as much as they want for themselves is really destroying our families, destroying our communities, and therefore harming our country. And then impatience and instant gratification, like this is harming people's lives and their mental health, and therefore, and friendships and relationships. Like we become so used to having what we want, when we want it, in the way we want it, that when that doesn't happen, a lot of us play the victim. A lot of us start to blame others and blame different things, and it's just not helpful. Like, you know, you have to be patient with life. You have to be patient with people if you want good things. You know, like I'm not saying you have to be patient, but if you want to be a loving person, if you want kindness returned to you, like, you know, like if you want all that, patience is part of the ball game. And Us creating a better world will take time. Us cleaning up the messes we made will take time. Us creating better relationships will take time. Us healing the relationships that are damaged that we want to heal will take time. So let's slow down. Let's slow down a little bit and remember that it takes time. It takes time. And then poor physical health, number 4. 60% of this country are considered obese, and a large chunk of them morbidly obese. When we have rises in cancer and diabetes and heart disease and strokes in just like astronomical ways, when they're looking at my generation and saying we may be the first generation to live shorter than our parents for the first time in recorded history. There's just a lot of things that, poor physical health contributes to poor mental health. It contributes to poor emotional regulation. Poor physical health makes you less available energy-wise to engage in relationships, to be able to get out and do things in your community. Like our older generation, I feel like they have a lot. Like there's a lot of people who have big amounts of money in the bank with retirement and things like that, who aren't willing to help their kids and their grandkids because they basically think they're going to need all that money to pay some doctor to keep them alive and functional, in their old age. And it's like, well, probably because you've been eating junky food and, living a stressful American life and, paying attention to politics too much and, all that kind of stuff that's just eating away at you. And the poor physical health is not something some doctor needs to fix. It's not something that doesn't matter. Like body positivity is great, but at the end of the day, like we all need to be healthy. And the fact that our country is technically one of the most physically, medically unhealthy countries in the world, especially among socialized countries, should be a giant red flashing, alarm on why there's such poor mental health, why we have such division amongst, the citizens and the communities in this country. So yeah, our poor physical health is definitely a major contributing factor to what's diminishing America's greatness. And then for number 5, I kind of argued with myself on whether or not it was our poor education system, or a few other things. And after talking with my wife, came to the agreement that it's a lack of self-compassion. Basically, so many people in this country are walking around with negative self-talk, just diminishing themselves, putting themselves down, being angry at things, being impatient, being unforgiving, holding on to grudges, just hanging on to anger and hate and resentment and sadness and upsetness and, all the things. And, just hanging on to that stuff and continuing to focus on it over and over and over again. And then not being nice to themselves, not taking care of themselves, and that kind of stuff leads to judging everything else. It leads to judging what you see on the TV. It leads to judging your coworkers. It leads to judging your friends and your family. The way we treat ourselves is the way we treat everything else. That's number 5. So that's my 5 things diminishing America's greatness: divorce, individualism, impatience, poor physical health, and lack of self-compassion. So that's the 2 lists. This has been Topic of the Day with Chef Daddy 9000. Thank you so much. Enjoy your day.